we are back. ECC Championship Season 9 playoffs. We're into the semi-finals, and we're getting really close to the end. I'm Greybeard, joined, of course, now by Herbie, who came very close last night to having to eat a hat. It didn't work out in the end. But we have a very interesting time coming up in terms of who the favorites are, who the favorites were, who the favorites are now. So, Herbie, exciting times here in the semis.
Yeah, I was hoping I wouldn't be reminded of that from yesterday. There will be no promises to eat headgear on this occasion, but still the levels of excitement remain equally high for the conclusion now to the Division 1 playoffs. The Slipstream EU main channel, and of course Slipstream EU2 broadcasting now the semi-finals and the final. Doesn't get any tighter than this between the four teams that are left in the competition, and we have Astro Zenith versus Dawnguard on this side of the bracket. Astro Allegiance on the other side as well. Could be a very good day for their organisation if they can finish off these semi-finals and maybe make it an all-Astro final, but both sides are a long way away from that. Astro Zenith have got Dawnguard to contend with, the sole number 1 seed remaining in these playoffs, the champions of Division 1.2.
Well, it's an interesting time here. The possibility of the double Astro final, and both of the Astro teams finishing 4th in league play, and the number 1 team, Dawnguard, going down to one of these Astro teams, Astro Allegiance, last night in a sweep. So it's a little bit topsy-turvy. So certainly no clear-cut vision of who's going to take this down. But I can't imagine a team that played so well throughout league play, Dawnguard, are not going to come back massively strong tonight and look to overcome Astro Zenith.
Yes, the seeding round defeat that Dawnguard suffered to Astro Allegiance, I think you can't rely too much on that as a result. Of course, it's still a playoff match, but it occurred in a context where the teams didn't really need to win in that situation. Of course, it got you into the semi-finals, but it wasn't a case of probably Dawnguard thinking we've got to win this or we're out of the playoffs. It wasn't that kind of a series, so I don't think it'll be weighing too heavily on their minds. Of course, they'll still be aware of it. Maybe it'll just make them more prepared for the threat that an Astro team can potentially give them, because of course this Astro Zenith team is in a very similar position to Astro Allegiance. They're not really differing in quality at all, with both sides having finished 4th in their divisions. So I think Dawnguard will have prepared adequately for this semi-final. They've of course already had their win in the preliminary round, which will help them a lot, give them sort of some more momentum coming into this semi-final, as opposed to Astro Zenith, who are the underdogs in this series uniquely, but come into it perhaps as a slight favourites after the bye to the semis.
Yeah, well, Dawnguard, I mean, they didn't mess around in their round 1 match that they had to play by virtue of going down to Astro Allegiance yesterday. They took it down in a sweep. In fact, both teams in both matches in round 1 going down in sweep. So, yeah, Dawnguard will have some good momentum from that, while Astro Zenith, I assume they've been scrimming and warming up somewhere. But yeah, well, here we go. We'll certainly get a sense of where we're going from this game 1 and how that pans out.
Yeah, it's all about Astro in these Division 1 playoffs. There will be 2 other teams, of course, trying to prevent that from happening, but both the Astro teams fighting for a place in the final. This one, however, is conceding the first goal of the series. It's Drazo bundling the ball over the line from close distance. Just that last little touch there, it squeaks over. 23 seconds in, Dawnguard lead.
Well, there we go. An early statement of intent. Not necessarily a clippable goal, but a goal nonetheless. They all count, and that will feel very good for Dawnguard to have taken that early lead. And now looking for the second, and there it comes almost immediately. Another, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, and they're 2 goals up. Drazo doing well with the pass. Samurai with the aerial redirect. Nicely finished.
Oh, Dawnguard sweeping Godalian's Divinity just an hour ago, and they seem to be carrying on that form into the opening of this series. They're hitting Astro Zenith hard in the first 30 seconds, looking even for a 3rd goal. Teaser is going to get this ball away down the left wing, and it'll be the first real chance for Astro Zenith to attack, but they find themselves in the 2-goal deficit when presented with the opportunity. Not the start they would have been hoping for, perhaps not quite warmed up yet.
No, and it kind of throws you off when you go down 2 goals in under a minute. You know, whatever sort of plan you have to sort of build some pressure and take the game forward is thrown into a little bit of disarray, because you're now having to chase the game for a fairly long period of time just to get yourself back on even terms. It's not even to take a lead or do anything. You're just fighting to stay in it.
Well, the long period of time can be a positive and a negative, of course. A long period of time to get back into the game, so still plenty of time for them to adjust their rearview mirrors a little bit and maybe just get themselves going. But they are coming forwards here and not really making a dent on the Dawnguard defense. But meanwhile, here is Samurai down the middle, negotiated their way past 2 defenders, but could not beat the third. Teaser in the back right corner will chip the ball downwards, looking for Instinct, who gets a solid touch into the middle. Oh. And they will read the 50 as well. That's a lovely finish. Astro Zenith on the board.
Well, it's just begging for a pun here, isn't it? I mean, the instinct here to see how the play was developing, and the fact that it wasn't under control from Astro, and just to position himself and be in the right spot to get that tap in. Nicely done.
From the kickoff, it's Dawnguard in possession again, but albeit briefly. Instinct is up, maybe looking for their second in quick succession, but didn't even get the shot off. That should have been a presentable opportunity for Astro Zenith, but you can forgive them for perhaps being a little bit nervous after scoring that first goal. The pressure's on them a little bit to get back into this game. Now they're halfway there, putting some pressure on at the halfway line, but this one is sent back into their own third by Dawnguard. Now a chance for Drazo to shoot. It's over the bar. Samurai's in for the rebound, but that one is missed too, and it stays 2-1.
Yeah, but this is good. It does look like Astro have settled down now. They're looking a little more threatening going forward, a little more settled, a little bit more in control. And if they can find a way in front of the finish, oh, they're trying to find Freddie in the midfield to provide a finishing shot. They couldn't get it off to him. Now a bit of defensive work, but much better here from Astro. Now they're not looking like they're being pushed around by Dawnguard.
But still just the 2 shots on target in comparison to Dawnguard's 6. They're going to have to start turning this possession into presentable chances to shoot. That was good play from them to link up in midfield and get the ball further forwards. Samurai without boost runs into Bobo Leak on the way forwards. Now Astro Zenith have Dawnguard pinned back into this corner. Teaser will follow this one up. Instinct is looking for bumps on the line. They have taken a man out. Instead, though, it falls back for Teaser to have another go. Astro Zenith building, but are they building towards a goal? Instinct off the corner, going to leave the ball off for Bobo Leak to shoot now, and the line has been cleared out. It's 2-2.
And there they go. Suddenly we're on level terms and still quite a bit of game to go. So, but momentum, early momentum from Dawnguard, late momentum now for Astro Zenith, and they will be feeling much better and completely settled and looking to now grab this grain by the scruff, but they got a bit of work to do there, which is done. Okay.
Instinct now in the back left corner, as it's either team's game to take from this point. Looked all Dawnguard at the beginning, but it's turned into a game of 2 halves, with Astro Zenith now coming back at them, having rallied from 2 down. 1 minute 15 to go for either team to take this one. That shot just floats wide of the goal. Dawnguard not really defending on their own goal line very well. Good rotation in the corners, but it feels like any shots that Astro Zenith throw at them, there's not much resistance. Freddie is going to get to that save, but Dawnguard just looking a little shaky. They need a goal at the other end to settle themselves down, I think.
Yeah, especially after that start. And look at this. Oh, dearie me. Teaser going to get a 3rd goal. And what has happened to Dawnguard? They came out all guns blazing under a minute. They had the 2-goal lead. They've given that up, and now they find themselves behind. That's got to be very frustrating for them.
Yeah, their confidence, it looks like it's plummeted. Maybe that's perhaps flashbacks to the Astro Allegiance series that they had yesterday. Maybe it is weighing down on them a little bit. Maybe they don't feel like they have the belief to beat an Astro team with how well these guys are playing this weekend. They are coming forwards, however, looking for an equaliser. Bobo Leak will clear up to the halfway line with 30 seconds to go. Carries the ball underneath the defender and slots it in. Straight into the bottom left corner. It's another wonderful finish for Bobo Leak. And Astro Zenith open up a 2-goal lead.
That was so damn sneaky. That was such a delicious fake. He made it look so convincing and then pulled out and caught it low and just walked it in underneath. Fantastically done. My word. And now Astro Zenith just looking amazing.
19 seconds to go for Dawnguard to try and make a dent on this 4 consecutive goal scoring run that Astro Zenith have had since the midpoint of the game. But instead it's Astro coming forward once more, and Instinct from the ceiling scores their 2nd goal of the game. Dawnguard defensively have just had no answers.
That's actually amazing to see how this game has gone. I mean, they were with the start that they had, and they were looking good after that. It took a while for the first goal to come from Astro, but ever since it did, it's been pretty dominating, and it's a fairly convincing win in the end. A very convincing win. It's a 3-goal advantage for Astro Zenith. And my word, you mentioned that word confidence, Herbie, and we all know how much of such a massive role that plays in how you're doing in Rocket League and how you're playing out there on the field. And it must be hard for Dawnguard right now.
Yeah, how do you pick yourselves up after losing the first game of the series in that fashion? You were 2-0 up, and you've not only ended up losing the first game of the series, but you've ended up losing it by a pretty big fashion. 5 goals to 2 in the end, after you really looked like the favourites for the first 90 seconds or so. It's easy, of course, to say, well, if they get the first goal in the next one, maybe they can give themselves some more confidence, but it didn't help them in this first game of the series at all. So I don't think they need to think about the scoreboard as much. They need to think about how they're setting up tactically to try and defend against this Astro Zenith team. If the lead comes, what are they going to do with it?
And amazingly, in that last game, you made the point of that they were having possession and pressure, but weren't putting shots on goal. They were very low on their shots, but in the end, 8 shots apiece for both teams. 8 shots, but Astro converting 5 of those. So they really did turn it around there in the last half of that game.
Yeah, definitely. Astro Zenith, they weren't putting the ball goalwards initially, but once they did, it was like a shock to the system of the Dawnguard players. But a scoreless first 30 seconds of this one. Dawnguard are fighting back at the moment, but if Astro Zenith score the first goal again and continue their goal-scoring streak that now dates back to the first game of the series, Dawnguard are going to be under a massive amount of pressure. Losing game 1 in the best of 7 is not the worst thing in the world. Certainly doesn't make you as likely to win the series as you were at the beginning, but it's a point from which you can rally from without too much difficulty.
Yeah, there's a massive difference losing a game in a best of 7 and losing it in a best of 5. It is very different. There is so much room, but you go down 2 games and suddenly it's a little squeaky, it's a little nervy, a little sweaty, and right now they look like they might be going down by 1 goal. Indeed they are. Another fabulous play from Instinct, the shot on goal by Teaser, and then Instinct the tap up off the back wall and the finish. Astro Zenith continue from game 1.
Yeah, it really felt like only a matter of time before that goal was coming. The Dawnguard players not very active defensively, all 3 of them converging on their own goal mouth and too tight to the ground, not enough aerial challenging on these Astro Zenith players. There's a fake from Teaser in the corner, just trying to free up some room for Instinct to send the ball back into the slot, but over to the far side it's going to go, and Freddy will have a crack from distance, but offensively that's about as good as it's getting for Dawnguard right now.
Yeah, and now we see Astro Zenith starting to loosen up a lot in terms of, very spread out, finding each other at distance, the passes, the plays, and then quickly back in rotations to thwart any effort from Dawnguard to get back into it. Oh, that came close, but here come Astro again. Oh, and he finds it home, Bobo getting it in. My word, and Astro looking better and better as this goes on.
Yeah, what a start to the series this is for Astro Zenith. They're now in a good position to take a 2-0 advantage. These 4th seeded Astro teams are very dangerous opposition for Dawnguard and Fort Templar Academy on the other side of the bracket at the moment. You've got 2 sides that are backed by an org, have a lot of belief in themselves, but also will already feel like they've overperformed in these Division 1 playoffs and never had any serious expectations to win. now that they find themselves in the semi-finals, it's more of a free swing for them than it is for Dawnguard, who would have had that preliminary expectation from winning league play in their division.
Yeah, the sort of the weight of expectation, it's amazing when you don't have it, and it's such a great point, because they've already gone further than they might have thought they would. So it's like, well, you know what, anything from here is a bonus, and you can play with that sort of freewheeling enjoyment of the game, whereas Dawnguard, who've performed so well all season, they're like, oh, we can't go down now, and it's absolutely pressure that gets put on themselves.
And on the other side of the bracket, the Astro Allegiance roster is not faring quite so well. That's a huge shot from Drazo, but it's going to hit the crossbar. In semi-final A, Fort Templar Academy have a 1-0 advantage, so Astro Zenith the better placed side of the two at the moment, with a 2-goal advantage with 1 minute 50 to go, attempting to go up by a pair in this series. And that is a poor giveaway from Drazo. The shot is not quite headed in. Samurai will get back to make the save, but Drazo will have to come again. Does get past one player, but can't beat the second. They just look devoid of ideas when they're going forwards, and it's been a long time since they scored now.
Yeah, those 2 early goals in game 1 seems like it was part of another playoff series, another league, another lifetime. It does seem a long time away, and now they're 2 behind, and they've got to find a way to get 2 goals. They're running out of time to do it, and so far Astro just having an answer to any possible question being asked by Dawnguard at the moment.
1 minute to go, though. 2 goals is very doable, but they need one sooner rather than later. They can't be relying on the late show from a kickoff. Freddy into the far corner. It will come back into the centre, and now Samurai is going to have a go from distance. They're in plenty of room to try and make something happen. They go for the drag, and Drazo is in there for the shot. Saved by instinct. Teaser can't reach that one, though. And Dawnguard do break through the Astro Zenith defence with 42 seconds to play.
Well, what a moment this is, because 42 seconds is a good length of time to find a second, and that is going to help enormously. But they're going to have to come out from this kickoff, and they're going to have to be blazing hard, and they're looking to do just that. They have territorial. Oh, but Bobo does very well. But Freddy keeping the pressure on, looking for a back pass, which caught Drazo by surprise a little bit. Now they're in a bit of strife as they have to rush back into defense. 20 seconds to go to find that equalizing second goal.
Well, they've got possession in the offensive half, but can they convert that into a shot on target? Drazo banks the ball off the sidewall, looking for Samurai in front. Samurai goes for the drag, now tries to carry the ball underneath. Important clearance there by Instinct. It's Freddy's responsibility to loop back into the mixer. Instinct off the backboard, gets a touch on it. It's coming back to the halfway line, and nobody is going to reach that. Astro Zenith hold on for a 2-1 game win and a 2-0 series lead.
Well, Herbie, you lose one game in a best of 7. It's not too bad. You got a lot of time to get things sorted out and come back. You lose 2, and now you've entered the pressure zone where it starts to get a little sweaty, because you go down 3, the very rare best of 7 reverse sweep looms, and that's absolutely not where you want to be. So a critical game, I think, coming up for Dawnguard.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. It's not the same as when you get pushed to the brink in a best of 5. Best of 5 reverse sweeps are difficult, but they still happen. In a best of 7, if you go down 3-0, your chances of winning the series from there on out, no matter who's seeded where or anything that's happened before in league play, your chances of coming back from 3-0 down in the best of 7 are like 2-3%. It's not high at all. It doesn't happen very often. They have got to try and win this next game of the series.
Yeah, so they've got to change up whatever they've got to change, or they have to reconfigure something, because what they're doing right now hasn't worked for them. So change it up. They must have several plans in their pocket, or things that they've discussed. They got to do things differently as they come out here in game 3.
Yeah, it's time for something not quite the Alamo, but fairly dramatic, a tactical change for Dawnguard to make. I mean, better late than never, of course. 2-0 down in the best of 7. You've got to change things up. It's not working for you initially. And this comes after they'd swept Godalian's Divinity 4-0 in the previous round. So kind of going against type for this Dawnguard team.
Yeah, and that'll be no doubt very frustrating for them. Early possible opportunity here after 20 seconds. It goes a begging. It remains scoreless. And I see on the other side, Fort Templar also about to take a second game. And that Fort Templar team looking very strong. I was very impressed with how they did in their round one, just to comment on that. But back to this game, we're 45 seconds in and no goals yet, but maybe nice important touch away by Samurai, and they're at least still in it, haven't conceded yet. Ooh.
But as soon as they do concede, they're going to be right back in the danger zone. Could be a chance for them on the counter attack, but never really seriously heading towards the net. Bobo Liek uses the ceiling for that clearance. Freddy will use the ceiling for this pass back in. Samurai looked for the shot, but had a wide angle to work with. Teaser will clear, but how much further will they get it? Flicked up into the air, looking for Bobo Liek with the pass. Bobo Liek went for the double tap, and now it's Instinct's turn on the offense. Samurai's clear is a bit of an awkward one. That leaves Drazo in a compromising position, and they might have just been caught off guard there. Luckily, Bobo Liek strikes that shot off of the post, but not the best rotation defensively for Dawnguard. They're lucky to get away with that.
Oh, I think they definitely got away with one there. They were absolutely caught off guard. The shot not on target though, so they're still in it. And now can they take advantage of not going behind there? They're at least getting some pressure on, slightly more organized than we saw in that last game where Astro Zenith were just batting away any attempt in their half. Now at least you feel there's potential when they're moving forward.
3 shots to 2 in favour of Dawnguard in this game 3 of the series, scoreless so far. Can they create something going forwards here? Samurai did well to couch this pass, but couldn't get the shot all the way on target. It's Freddy though with this one, and that is going to be on. No defenders back on the line to make the save. It's a good reaction finish out from the sidewall. Saw that Teaser had thrown possession away from the clear and fired it right back in for a Dawnguard lead. Yeah,
and the first lead they've had since the 45 seconds in game 1, so that'll be a massive relief to them as they look to mount a comeback after going down 2 games. But they're going to have to extend that. You feel with the way Astro Zenith have been playing, 1 goal's not going to carry them all over the finish line, you feel.
Well, gold news from the other side of the bracket. You mentioned it earlier, but game 2 is over there now, and a 7-0 win for Fort Templar Academy in game 2 of that series as they open up their 2-0 series lead. Looking very strong at the moment, and it makes you wonder, these players that are participating in the current lobby, do you think they're aware of what's going on the other side of the bracket?
That's such a great question. I wonder if there's even an interest from them, or if they're just focused on what's happening right here, right now. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to just have the Twitch stream up on a second monitor, or someone in Discord letting them know. But I don't think it would be a smart idea to involve yourself with what's happening in the other game. You've got to focus on what's going on. It's hard enough just dealing with what's happening right here, right now. And Freddy, bit of defensive work to do off the backboard. Oh, whoa! And we haven't seen too many of those mistakes from Astro, but a couple coming out and not punished for it. But, early signs that maybe Dawnguard can fight their way back into this.
1 minute 20 to go, and Dawnguard still holding on to that 1-goal lead. A clean sheet for them would be very valuable in their efforts to get back into this series. To keep Astro Zenith off the board would be a big confidence booster for them, but they are in the back foot at the moment. Freddy will clear up to the halfway line. No, Bobo Liek goes for the pass back, and Instinct recovers possession down the right wing, and now they're in some space. Opportunity is on for the pass, and Dawnguard have messed it up in front of their own net. Teaser's going to bundle it over the line. Another big mistake defensively from Dawnguard.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. And look at them all bunched on the front post of that goal line. And yeah, it was an unfortunate touch. It came off the player and bounced back in front of the goal. But my word. Oh, no. It is... However it happens. Yeah, maybe a bit unlucky. Yeah, but honestly, that sort of thing shouldn't be happening. And they've given up a razor-thin lead, and now they're going to go behind Herbie. What a turnaround now from one tiny mistake. They were 40, 50 seconds away from getting back into it.
Very good communication from the Astro Zenith players there. Instinct looked like they were the player carrying the ball down the left wing, but you could see that Teaser called them off it, and Samurai was trying to defend against that. A bit of shadow defending in the back right corner, but could not read the changeover of possession at all, and that was what allowed Teaser the opportunity to barrel straight down the middle and give Astro Zenith the lead. Dawnguard cannot dwell on it. They need a goal in the next 30 seconds. They've got to get one back and at least take this game 3 to overtime, or things are looking dire for them in this semi-final. 20 seconds to go. They still got possession in the offensive half, but they need shots on goal. Samurai lays the ball off for Drazo, but Instinct cuts possession out. Anywhere will do for Astro Zenith in the final 10 seconds. It's Drazo to try and send it back. Bobo Liek off the wing, looks for Teaser in front of the net, and that is a big finish from distance, capping off the hat-trick, and it looks like capping off game 3.
Oh my word. The turnarounds, it's all pretty much happened in the last minute of this game, where Astro Zenith were battling, I wouldn't say struggling, but fighting hard to get back into it. Dawnguard keeping them out, and now they're going to go down by 2 goals, and even more importantly, 3 games to nothing. They do have to now perform the 2%, 3%, almost a unicorn games, best of 7 reverse sweep. But my word, what a turnaround. They looked like they were going to take this. They were going to fight their way back in, Herbie, and now they didn't.
Well, okay. So, best of 7 reverse sweep. I said earlier it was around 2 or 3%. I hope that those players didn't hear me say that, because that's not what they need to hear right now. They need to think about winning 1 game at a time in this series. Don't look at the bigger picture. Take it 1 game at a time. You're still the champions of Division 1.2 no matter what happens. Of course, failing to make the final will be a disappointment for them, but there was always going to be at least 1 seed that failed to make the final. Just because they're the last one standing doesn't mean that semi-finals isn't a decent performance for them. So I think they've got to try and think less about the context of this semi-final and think about it more as maybe even a scrim against the 4th seed from a different Division 1. It still looks like a very doable task for them on paper once they start winning, but starting to win is the biggest challenge.
Well, solid advice, Herbie, and hopefully they'll take it to heart. And maybe being so far down in this series, they can free themselves of the weight of expectation and play with a bit more freedom. And this will be good for them. 11 seconds in, Freddie picks up a loose ball in midfield, finds the net from distance. And now can they build on it? And as you've pointed out, 1 game at a time, 1 goal at a time, play what's right in front of you right now.
Yeah, and speaking about the weight of expectation, that's equally true on the other side of the pitch as well. I talked about a 2 or 3% chance of winning a best of 7 in a reverse sweep. You look at the Astro Zenith side, you've got like a 97% chance of winning the series from a 3-0 up position. And those players will know that's equally true as well, that it's such a strong position for them. Game 4 in a series like this can often be the hardest to win. They find themselves 2-0 down 34 seconds in. I think even though they're in such a good position at the moment, the pressure is getting to them. They still have to close it out, and that means winning 1 more game. The job isn't done yet.
And there, one of the factors in Rocket League, of you have confidence, one, and then of course mentality, and one is very closely tied to the other. But Astro Zenith will be feeling pretty confident right now, but there is now there's the mentality of, okay, let's close it out, and now they're 2 behind, and at some point, if they don't score, the little worm of doubt starts to enter, and that can bring the whole thing down. And I certainly don't think we're anywhere close to that yet, but it is absolutely a factor that at some point will come into play if they are taking a long time to score here.
Yeah, I think genuine doubt doesn't settle in until Dawnguard have actually won this game, regardless of what the scoreline is. They've still got 3 minutes and 40 to see it out, but they couldn't be doing any better of a job right now. It has to be said, they are piling the pressure on in the Astro Zenith half. 6 shots on target. Astro Zenith are now just leaving their half for the first time in this game. Would have been big for them if they could have gotten that shot on target. Now finally beginning to collect mid boosts and maybe settle themselves into the next third of rotation. Teaser gave the ball away there. Instinct will win a 50 to send it back in. Bredido has won it back for Dawnguard, who have a 2-goal lead. They've been here before in the first game of the series. It goes without saying that they can't afford to let it slip away. I think they need to keep trying to add to it.
No doubt, and they looked so good for the first minute and a half, and now that Astro Zenith have fought their way out of their own half, they're starting to look a bit more like we've seen them in the previous 3 games, building that pressure and finding ways to get it into the orange half and pile on the pressure, and they don't want to. Dawnguard don't want to let them out for too long, because the longer they do that, the more confident they're going to become, and the more of a threat it becomes. Oh my word! And they've just kept out a 3rd goal, and that was huge, Herbie.
Could have been the 3rd, but this is the 3rd. It's Samurai with their first goal of the game. A tremendous finish from up on the sidewall. Very, very difficult to defend against there. The flip reset, executed to perfection near the roof of the net. Unstoppable.
My goodness, that was astonishingly good, and just what they needed. And I just hope for Dawnguard that it isn't a game too late. You know, they would want to have seen this in the last game and take one back and be 2-1 fighting right now rather than 3-0 down. And they just couldn't capitalize in the last game on their first goal lead like they've done here. A 3-goal cushion is just so good for them, and now they can start to play with a bit more sort of purpose and less anxiety about making one tiny mistake.
Well, in the other series, it is 3-0 now overall to Fort Templar Academy, and the 4th game is underway. I know I mentioned it a couple of games ago, and we discussed it already, and you suggested that it's unlikely that the Astro Zenith players maybe know about the score of the other series, but if they do know, imagine the thoughts that are going on in their heads at the moment. Astro Allegiance 3-0 down, they're all but out. Astro Zenith are looking like the sole hope for the organisation now, so if those players are aware of that, how desperate are they going to be to win this 4th game?
Yeah, and it probably makes the argument that it's probably better not to know, because there's already pressure, and that sort of, you don't want to give yourself pressure that you don't need on things you just absolutely cannot control. But look at this from Samurai. Samurai, who has seemed fairly quiet throughout the series, has just pulled off 2 bangers, Herbie.
Well, save some of your goals for the next one. You don't need to be winning this game 6-0. Helps for momentum, you could argue, but there's a long way to go yet in this best of 7. But their confidence will be rising with every goal that they do score. And the shots on target is massively in favour of Dawnguard in this game. 11-2. Defensively, Astro Zenith haven't even been poor, but they've just been bombarded by the team in orange in this one. And you can just tell that they look a little bit shell-shocked. I think they'll be prepared to go again in the next game. The 4th, after all, is often the hardest to win in the best of 7 reverse sweep potential.
Yeah, and this is absolutely oh my goodness gracious. And now you sort of go, oh, well, where has this Dawnguard team been? But without question, Astro Zenith have taken a breath of relief a game too early. They've gone, okay, good, we kind of got this, and have not been prepared for what Dawnguard has brought to them in this game.
40 seconds to go, and it's 5-0. Could be more yet as Dawnguard continue to pile forwards. That's a good save there from Teaser to prevent it from being 6. I think Astro Zenith would like themselves a goal before the end of this game. They don't want to be shut out. They were very close to being shut out in the previous game. Even though they came from behind, questions might just be asked of Astro Zenith's offense now. Was very good in the early portions of the series, but since then, 2 goals in about 10 minutes of game time, if not more, is looking a little bit quieter in comparison to what Dawnguard have done.
Yeah, well, with 3 seconds to go, Dawnguard are going to fight their way back. They're not going to go, if they go down, they're not going down in a sweep. They have their first game recorded in the series and how important for them. And now their little earworm of doubt, Herbie. How much of a role does that begin to play for Astro Zenith? I mean, they're still absolutely favorites to take it down, but they might be asking themselves questions they weren't a game ago.
Well, you couldn't ask for a much better way for Dawnguard to win this game either. It was just complete domination from start to finish. They owned this game, and it shows that they have the potential to win closer games in this series just because of the maximum level that these players can reach. Game 5 could well be an entirely different story, of course. They've got to go again, and they don't get that 5-0 advantage that they had a hefty lead in for most of the series. It's a fresh start for both of these teams, and that means that Astro Zenith have the opportunity to immediately put them back under pressure with the first goal.
Yeah, well, Dawnguard, I want to carry on here going into Game 5 the way they ended the last game. Samurai popping off in this Game 4, doing very well. 2 fantastic goals there. And they've got to bring the game to Astro the same they did at the beginning of the last game. They're going to want to do that immediately. Don't let Astro take a breath and get themselves settled back over the ball and back into the game.
Well, how are your nerves, Dawnguard players? You've taken 1 game, still 3 more to go. Urban Central is another location that they will have to try and dominate in to get themselves back into the series, and they have conceded the first goal on this occasion. Astro Zenith, after failing to come forwards for the entirety of the previous game, they get a favourable kickoff, and Drazo just floats into that challenge a little too early, and it's 1-0 to Astro.
Oh, not great for Dawnguard, but plenty time left. That's what they got going for them. There's not 5 seconds from the end. It's 4 minutes 55 from the end, so they can certainly overcome that. The pass across from Freddy to Drazo. Drazo either not expected or just pushed a little in front of him. Couldn't do much with it. But suddenly they're fighting, and they're fighting for their championship lives here. And Zenith will be a little more settled and go, okay, guys, we can do this. Let's bring it home.
Yeah, if Dawnguard are to get back into the series, they're going to find out the hard way that you have to win games in different ways in Rocket League to win a best-of-7 series. Astro Zenith have done that already. They've had tight games, they've had offensive blowouts, and they've been performing well at both ends of the pitch in those games that they won earlier this series. Dawnguard now have to try and come from behind in this one, something that they've not been particularly successful at in this series so far. Teaser off the ceiling as we are 1 minute into this game. Over to the opposite wing it goes, where Teaser is still causing the Dawnguard defenders some trouble.
And over on the other side, that series mirroring what's going on here. Astro Allegiance have taken Game 4. So they're in the same position as Dawnguard here. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out, if it follows suit to what goes down here. But here it is, Astro Zenith in prime position to take the series, but Drazo up. This is going to come down. Oh, no, it's going to go all the way in. I thought that was coming off the backboard, but its angle off the ceiling was absolutely perfect, and it just crawled in under the crossbar, and then the game is leveled up.
I mean, it's a good finish from Drazo, but Astro Zenith need to not think too negatively about that one. Take it at face value for what it was, which was a freak goal off of the ceiling. I mean, you're not going to concede too many of those in the series, but that's a timely goal for Dawnguard to get themselves back into this game. The more time that they spend behind, the more pressure they're going to be feeling. When you're back level, not quite so bad.
Indeed, it does change the complexion of the game, and a little bit less snatching at the game maybe, and a little more of a view to try and build something, build some pressure, go forward with some purpose and intent. Nice intercept there from Bobo, who's going to try and bring it around in front of the net. It's going to go all the way. My word, and Astro Zenith regain the lead.
And that is a Dawnguard defender there that ends up putting the ball over the line. It's Samurai. I don't know, they're approaching the ball at speed on the rotation back. I'm just seeing it on the replay. I think they could have saved that one. The player might disagree with me because of the speed at which they had to react, but if you just take a little bit more time, half a second more, get your car around the ball, you can maybe just clear it back out to the wing. It's 2-1 to Astros, and if it could be 3, it's Bobo Leak with their second goal of the game. A multi-goal lead for Astro Zenith. How crucial could that be?
Oh dear, Herbie, the clouds have gathered, the dark storm clouds, and they're rolling in here for Dawnguard. They fought back incredibly well in that last game. They managed to get to level up once here, but now they're behind 2. They still do have half a game to turn it around, but you just feel the momentum of the entire series. They're fighting against that right now.
Still half the game to go, of course, and they've shown that they're capable of piling goals up on the board in the previous game, but they need something a little more creative than Drazo's finish off the ceiling. That's a good pass into Samurai! And after 2 defensive mistakes at the other end, how vital is it that Samurai has gotten on the board?
Yeah, great work from Drazo to get it in front. Nice finish from Samurai. And, you know, they're in exactly the same position they were 25 seconds ago. 1 goal behind, but reducing it from 2 goals to 1. Again, it kind of changes the feel of it, and Dawnguard will feel, okay, cool, we can absolutely get back in it, and maybe they can now. The pass in front, Samurai misses Herbie, and how important will that come to be? Maybe not at all, because Drazo will find the way home. We're back to a level game.
Yeah, I think you spoke a little bit too soon there. As you were lamenting the nature of that miss, I was just thinking, well, Drazo's still got possession on that far side and ended up putting the ball in the back of the net to equalise for Dawnguard. They do come from 2 goals down, but they need more offence to take this game. And Astro Zenith know that they are still potentially 1 shot away from the Division 1 final. Teaser looked to loop the ball into the middle, but nobody was there to receive it in front. Samurai will clear back to the halfway line, and now a chance for Dawnguard to shoot from that. Freddy had their shot turned aside by instinct. Drazo's turn to collect the ball on the halfway line. They bank it off, look to put it in front of the net. Dawnguard certainly looking more threatened than they did a couple of minutes ago. Do Astro Zenith have the answer defensively?
So far they do, and now an attempt on the other side. It's going to go all the way. End to end, there were what? I think 2 touches, 3 touches. Teaser getting it right in front of Instinct. Instinct finishing it off. And Astro Zenith for the 3rd time find themselves in front.
Well, Dawnguard have come from behind once, so as far as they're concerned, surely they can do it again. And their offense has been firing on all cylinders in the previous 2 games now, even though they still find themselves down. That's the 8th goal that they've scored in just under 9 minutes of game time. But they need to make it 10 to have any chance of staying in this series. They come forwards in the final minute. It's Drazo looking for Samurai in front. Blocked down by Teaser. Freddy goes for it. Great save by Instinct. Loose ball in the corner is going to be taken back by Drazo, who pinches it back towards the centre. It's floating down for Samurai to equalise once again for Dawnguard.
Wow, well, this is the most eventful game we've had in this series in terms of one team pulling ahead, the other finding a way back. Every time it's been Dawnguard, they've now got to find a way to get themselves in front. They can't be chasing the game the whole time. And the next goal may well just be the winner as we come down. We're under a minute, and things are going to get very tight and very sweaty out there. And Dawnguard have got a possibility. This is going to float awkwardly in front. No, Teaser will get it away off the backboard, and now they bring it forward. Can they make something happen here? Freddy standing firm in the corner, gets half a clear. But nervy times here for Dawnguard. It's on the wrong side of the pitch for them. A game they must win to carry on having a chance in this series. And of course, Astro Zenith want to lock it down, wrap it up right here and right now.
They've got 10 seconds to do that. And it's Bobo League with the shot with 11 seconds on the clock. They've got their hat-trick. And now Astro Zenith are on the brink of the Division 1 final. They just have to avoid any calamities at the upper end. Dawnguard have got just enough time to get a play going from this kickoff, but they're going to need a favourable moment of possession to make it happen. Teaser against Freddy, and it's out to the left wing where 2 players race to reach it. Instinct bats it down into the far corner. Drazo has got to go end to end, and it's blocked aside by Bobo Leak. Astro Zenith on the brink of victory. The ball stays in the air for now. Instinct just wants to kill it off, and this one does reach the ground. Astro Zenith, the 4th seeded team, move into the Division 1 final.
And they are going to be feeling amazing about that. A touch of concern after conceding game number 4. They could have taken it down in a sweep, but what a game that was. Astro Zenith went ahead 4 times in that game each time. Well, except for the last time they couldn't catch up. They managed to catch up, keep themselves within one game of it, but in the end couldn't do enough to go ahead and take a game and keep themselves in the series and a shot at moving forward to the grand finals, Herbie. And we have been mirrored on the other side by Fort Templar as well.
Yes, absolutely. We have our grand final. The series in semi-final A ended as you were speaking. A 3-1 win for Fort Templar in the final game that sees them secure the series victory in 5 games. Our final will be Astro Zenith versus Fort Templar Academy. 2 organisations represented instead of 1. Both of the Astro teams couldn't make it, but they do have one side in the final. Perhaps not the side that they were expecting. Astro Allegiance is meant to be the organisation's flagship roster, but they are going to forget about their own semi-final elimination now. They will get behind this Astro Zenith team that has continued their heroic run all the way to the final. 1 best of 7 away from Ultimate Division 1 glory, but Fort Templar Academy, who have also had an excellent run this weekend, will be the team aiming to stop them. It's going to be a fantastic spectacle.
I think it's going to be, and seeing Fort Templar, what they've just done with against Astro Allegiance, but then also in the previous series, where, keeping in mind, in one of those games, one of their players, their third, disconnected about with 2 minutes left. They had a 2-goal lead, and playing 3 versus 2, they scored 3 more goals and went on to win and take down that series. And they are looking very strong. I think Astro Zenith have got a mammoth battle, but man, I think they're going to be ready for it.
So take a breather, get some food, maybe a drink, because there is one more series coming up on Slipstream EU tonight, and it is the big one of the weekend. Emerge Charlie have already been named Division 2 champions with their superb performance earlier on, but now the focus is on Astro Zenith versus Fort Templar Academy. We will get the Slipstream EU 2 viewers over here for the big set piece. It's coming up in about 10 minutes' time.